right, YouTube is coming up. Good morning to those of you who just came in. Um, all right, almost everybody's here. All right, two things today. Okay, I think everybody is here now. All right, good morning again. If you just came in, I was just explaining that you need to make sure all your worksheets are turned in by the end of this week. You want to make sure that your Canvas gradebook is up to date and there are no zeros that are going to be lingering into after spring break. All right, and again, I was saying that when we come back from spring break, we're going to focus mostly on preparing for the milestones. So there's not just on Wednesdays, but every day there'll be some type of activity to review, as well as going forward with the new information, because we still have some things we need to cover that are going to be on the milestone, but we're also going to make sure that we stick in a review activity each day as well. So again, each day and not just on Wednesdays. I'm going to put some more practice activities in progress learning for you to work on. In fact, I probably should do some for over the break in case you get bored, that you might want to do. But again, the milestones start on the 21st of April. So we're, like I said, about a month away from doing those. So over the break, if you get bored, you should pull out everything from the beginning of the year, macromolecules and all that kind of stuff, cells and things of that nature, all of that stuff that we did last semester, as well as what we're doing now. It's important that we finish classification because that definitely is on there. Again, the worksheets that you needed to turn in were about the kingdoms and the phylums. And so if you haven't read this page in Canvas, make sure that you do. Now that everybody's in, we're going to do the Nearpod. So I'm going to go ahead and send this to you. I'll let you do this self-paced. All right, so I just sent you the link for I shared it already. That's the one, right? Yep, that's it. Okay, I guess I can't pull it up because I put it on as student paste. So go ahead and start that. That's reviewing the kingdoms. You know, I can pull it up, but I won't. All right, so there's a video to watch. You answer the questions as you go along the video. And don't mind me, I'm just pulling mine up so that I can have it as a visual, which is not going to work. All right, so because mine has a different code than yours. All right, so do yours. And that won't take long. And again, make sure that there we go. Okay. All right, so everybody work on that. This is not going to take more than 5-10 minutes. So do the Nearpod, and then like I said, only one person has turned in their worksheet, so everybody else has a worksheet they need to turn in. Everybody needs to come back and do the activities on this page, as I will have another activity for you to do dealing with classification. There we go. All right, so when you're finished, make sure you do this because I have a quiz activity that's going to involve doing these as well. All right, Nearpod, turn in your worksheets, Canvas. That's what you need to do today. All right, remember Nearpod keeps record of participation, so make sure that you do that. I'll record that when you're done. All right, when you're done with that, there is an assignment on from Canvas for you to do that you need to upload. So check your to-do list. All right, so you're going to do it in Canvas. When you finish dragging all of the titles into their appropriate box, you're going to screenshot your final answer once you've checked that it's correct, and you're going to submit it here. So again, it'll tell you whether you're correct or not. So when you're finished and you've checked that it's correct, then you screenshot it and you send it to me. Ariana, you're the only one who didn't do the Nearpod. All right, remember today you're turning in the two worksheets, five kingdom description and the dichotomous key practice, and the screenshot of your Canvas assignment. That's what's due today. Being as everybody's present, it's due today, not tomorrow. So yes, yes, that's correct, but you also have a worksheet that you haven't turned in, Ariana, in answer to your question. All right, there still seems to be some confusion about how to do a cladogram. So um, let's watch this. This was, he did this on taxonomy, but now he's specifically going to talk about making a cladogram. So please watch. Take a break.
Every living organism in an evolutionary context, but we didn't go into much detail about its precise structure. What is implied by a branch? What is the relationship between organisms on the same branch or adjacent branches? Before we revisit phylogeny in a much grander way, we will want to dig into cladistics so that we are equipped with some important terminology. Cladistics is a method of classifying organisms according to their common characteristics. Cladograms are branching diagrams that show the relationships between clades. Clades are the fundamental unit of phylogeny. These are groups of organisms believed to have evolved from a common ancestor. Let's start by looking at a simple cladogram. You can probably already draw some conclusions simply by looking at it. For example, you could probably realize that leopards and domestic cats are the only animals on the cladogram with retractable claws. However, there's a lot more to this, so let's take a closer look. At the very bottom of the cladogram, you'll see the word hare. Given its position below this second branch, we can conclude that all the organisms on the cladogram, except for tortoises, have hair. This means that the tortoises are an outgroup. They serve as a useful comparison for the animals in our study. Like all animals, tortoises do share common ancestry with the other animals in the cladogram, the most recent of which is represented by this fork here, after which there is divergence. In fact, tortoises share many characteristics with mammals. They have an internal skeleton. They are amniotes that give birth to offspring on dry land. They are four-limbed tetrapods, and the list continues. However, we are not concerned with those shared characteristics in this particular cladogram. We are only interested in animals with hair, which are referred to as mammals. Again, since the word hare shows up right between the branches leading to tortoises and horses, it means that this characteristic arose after the most recent common ancestry of these groups. There are no tortoises in existence, either extant or in the fossil record, with hair. Since the hair characteristic is shared by all the animals in the study group, we call it an ancestral characteristic. All animals in the in-group share this characteristic. It is, in fact, an ancestral characteristic of all mammals. One quick note about ancestral characteristics and outgroups. In some cladograms, the ancestral characteristic is placed at the very base. For example, we could have chosen backbone as the ancestral characteristic if we had preferred. As we will come to see, cladograms are simply concept maps. After the word hare, you'll then see the word carnivorous. The horse lineage branches off here. This is because horses do not share that characteristic. That is, horses are not part of the mammalian order Carnivora, as wolves are. However, horses do have hair, being members of Mammalia, so horses are more closely related to wolves than tortoises. As we are beginning to understand, an animal's placement on a cladogram can help determine its relatedness to other animals. If we continue up the cladogram, we see that the wolf, for example, is more closely related to the leopard than to the horse, and that the leopard is more closely related to the domestic cat than to the wolf. This is fairly straightforward. Each animal listed is more closely related to the animal on its right than on its left, due to their more chronologically recent common ancestry. What is somewhat less intuitive is that it doesn't always work in reverse. So domestic cats clearly are more closely related to leopards than any other animal on the cladogram, and leopards are more closely related to domestic cats than any other animal on the cladogram. However, a horse is equally as related to a wolf as it is to a leopard, and a tortoise is equally as related to a horse as it is a wolf. Tortoises are not more closely related to horses than to leopards, even though the cladogram might make it look like they are. The reason for this is that we can rewrite the cladogram any way we please, as long as each species still has the correct characteristics. For example, even though most cladograms are written with a single line and numerous branches, we could instead write the cladogram like this, using the same characteristics. Notice that the domestic cat has the same characteristics, while the horses still only share the characteristic of hair. This is because the domestic cat is the focus point of the cladogram. So tortoises are equally distantly related to all mammals. They're not closer to horses or cats or any other mammal in the cladogram. To cement this, let's rewrite the cladogram with new animals so it looks like this. Now the horse is at the top and the domestic cat is closer to the bottom. Again, this doesn't mean anything about their evolution. Horses aren't more evolved than turtles or cats. They're just the animal that possesses the greatest number of the characteristics listed on this particular cladogram. Each time an animal branches off, there is generally a characteristic listed that separates it from the others. These are known as derived characteristics. Derived characteristics shared by all members of a clade are known as synapomorphies. Going back to our original cladogram, the ability to purr is a derived characteristic, or synapomorphy, that is possessed only by the domestic cat and no other animal on the cladogram. Likewise, the animals in order Carnivora, the wolf, leopard, and domestic cat, are the only animals in the cladogram with carnivorous meat-eating teeth.
From idea to submission, empower students to do their best work with Grammarly's comprehensive AI writing assistant.
Now let's try building our own dictionary characteristics.
Down, and we'll fill it in as we go. So everybody write this down and we'll fill it in as he completes it. So we're making a chart. So we're going to so what he's going to do is put the butterfly, the frog, human, and crocodile on a cladogram. He's using these characteristics on the side: spine, amniotic eggs, disped skulls, and feathers as the characteristic on how he's going to arrange it on the cladogram. So write this down. It's kind of similar to the other worksheet that you did, that some of you still need to turn in, where you did the check boxes as to what the characteristics are. I didn't ask you to make a cladogram out of it, but I could have.
That separate them. This table depicts the 5 organisms we will investigate, those being butterflies, frogs, humans, crocodiles, and birds, as well as 4 characteristics, those being the presence of a spine, amniotic eggs, diapsid skulls, and feathers. We can also see which of these characteristics are present or absent for each organism. To make the cladogram, we observe which character.
With this one. So he's filled in a box present or absent, so you can fill your box in. All right, so the butterflies do not have a spine, they do not have amniotic eggs, they do not have skull, and they do not have feathers. Frogs do have a spine, but they're missing everything else. Humans have the first 2, but absent on the last 2. Crocodile has the first 3 present, absent on feathers, and the bird has everything. If you want to shorthand it, you can do A and P for absent and present. or a check mark and a 0.
Characteristics are more or less commonly held. For example, butterflies are the only animals out of these that do not have a spine. So let's put butterfly on the first branch and spine as the first characteristic. Of those remaining, the only one that does not utilize amniotic eggs is the frog. So let's put the frog next and write amniotic eggs here. The rest is just the same. Humans don't have diapsid skulls, so that's next. And then crocodiles do not have feathers while birds do, which puts them at the focus point. So clearly, the birds and crocodiles are the most...
So now you can draw your cladogram, and you put the characteristics that they had out to the side. Then I'm going to tell you what the characteristics that I came up with for the one that you were supposed to do on your worksheet, see if that helps you. All right, so if you draw the one for your worksheet and it looks just like this, you have to place the pencil, the pen, eraser, pencil sharpener, paper, correction fluid, and post-it notes. Those are the things that you need to put on your branches. And the things that I had were they made of wood? Are they made of plastic? Are they man-made? Those were the outside characteristics that I used to judge where I'm going to put those things on the line. So are they made of wood, made of rubber and plastic? And actually rubber and plastic is a category by itself, and man-made is also a category by itself. So the title of your line on your worksheet is stationary items. That's the name of the line. And then you're looking at what they have most in common. All right, so if you do a box like that, it should help you put that assignment in order.
Closely related, while the butterflies are an outgroup. Looking at the cladogram, you may have some questions. Why, for example, didn't we use the characteristic of flight to separate the birds from the crocodiles? Well, it is true that this is a derived characteristic of birds, but butterflies are also capable of flight, since insects convergently evolved the same characteristic. So it wouldn't be a good fit for the cladogram, since you could accidentally group the birds and butterflies together. Likewise, we didn't use the characteristic warm-blooded. This is because both humans and birds are endotherms, but crocodiles are not endotherms, even though crocodiles are more closely related to birds than to humans. Crocodiles and birds are both part of the clade of animals known as archosaurs, which also includes the dinosaurs. This is because they share more recent common ancestry with each other than any other animals in the cladogram. So, both flight and warm blood are examples of convergent evolution, the process by which different organisms independently evolve similar traits. Essentially, what we're doing when we build a cladogram is trying to put closely related animals into distinct clades. You could potentially build a cladogram for any set of organisms as long as you know a bit about their evolutionary histories, as well as their shared and derived characteristics. With this concept understood, let's move forward and learn more about cladistics. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more tutorials. Support me on Patreon.
So again, you want to, I'm going to pause it here. You want to look at that activity on your worksheet, put all of the things that need to be classified, the pen, the pencil, the eraser, the pencil sharpener, paper, correction fluid, Post-it notes, all of those things have to go across the top. On the side, I came up with 3 characteristics that you can check off. Are they man-made? Are they plastic? Are they made from wood? Originated from wood? Those are the 3 things. Then you can put check marks and then arrange them accordingly. Somebody asked, can you draw a line? You can draw a line. I think your Cami might draw a line for you, but yes, draw a line. Use your drawing tool to draw that. But it should look just like that. It should be a line going upward with little spikes going up. The one that is the most complicated with the least things in common should be at the top. The ones that is the most simplest should be on the bottom. And the characteristics of the 3 characteristics that I outlined for you should be the things that determine their position on your cladogram. Okay? Alrighty. All right, this video has been saved to your playlist, so if you need to watch it again, it will be there. All right, so if you already turned it in, I reassigned it so that it can be done properly. All right, if you have no questions for me, I'll see you tomorrow.